Warning, this podcast has stories of real-life events and true crime that happens every day. These stories may contain adult language and graphic or disturbing details not suitable for everyone. Listener discretion is advised.
132 in Bush, I've got him at gunpoint. Check the left phone for full evacuation at this time.
They're pulling them out.
1011, advise ready for camp.
God!
Welcome to another episode of War Stories. I'm Tom.
And I'm Chuck.
Good, I hope you are, because if not, who am I staring at?
I don't know. I kind of feel different because I've used that face thing last time. And it's the filter.
You used the touch
It like
my
cleans
hair.
up. Yeah, it looks weird.
I can't really tell the difference. I mean,
Oh, I can for sure.
how's
It's yeah.
everything going?
Good. I'm actually since this is recorded. Yeah, I was gonna say it's live and it's not live. That's the other one.
No, that's the other one.
I'm actually sitting
That's
with
tonight, but 4 weeks ago, I think.
Right. Weird. I had a really bad back spasm and I had to go to the doctor, and that was a big fight with them because somehow they found out it was like I got injured at work. Like, it's workers' comp, and I couldn't move. And I was like, no, I don't give a fuck. Just give me something, knock this pain down. And the doctor he's such a dickhead doctor too at urgent care, man.
Here's
He's
the
trying
deal,
to be
though.
like, who's your
If it's
doctor? And I
workers'
was like,
comp,
shut
it's
up.
none of your friggin' business.
Yeah.
You bill
But
my insurance and let the insurance company worry about billing workers. Whatever.
Right. And they're like, we're not affiliated. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. This is my
Okay,
local.
sure.
I'm hurting. I'm just going to pay my own regular insurance. They're like, but I'm like, no buts. I've been here before. And then the doctor's like, who's your spine surgeon? I was like, Dr. Love. He's like, I don't know him. And I was like, I don't care if you don't know him. He's not in this area. He's in LA. Like, shut up.
Right.
And I'm still fighting with it right now. I got a bunch of meds, and I finished the steroid pack this morning, and they gave me like an injection in my my butt on like Saturday. No, Friday, and it didn't work.
Did I ever tell you the crazy shit that an ER doctor said to me when I brought in an arrestee for a medical clearance?
What?
So this dude was so like, he was young. He's probably 18, 19. And he was so like upset that he was going to jail and arrested. He's sitting in the back of the car while I'm, filling out paperwork, talking to my partner. And he's like, nah, and he's grinding his head and banging it against the cage. Right. And he freaking cuts his face open on the cage. So I took him in to get a medical clearance. Just, does he need stitches? I'll take him to jail. And I took him in, and the doctor says, how do you get the wound on his face? I said he was banging his face against the screen. And the doctor looks at me with the most shitty expression and goes, oh, really? Are you sure it wasn't a screen test?
Oh my!
And I was like, okay. First of all, dick. I just couldn't believe a doctor had the balls to accuse me of essentially excessive force and abusing a suspect right in the ER. Like, I didn't even know him at all. Like, we never met. It was pretty shitty. So
Yeah, let's just throw that term around. Excessive force,
yeah.
cool. Yeah, it's just.
Yeah, I'm only matching on the brakes to cause the suspect to break his head open on the screen. Sure, of course I'm doing that. I would accuse that of random people I didn't know as well. Anyway, so we are back for an interview this week, though. We've been having some great interviews. Our producer Dylan. So, in all honesty, I thought Matt was going to be here for this one because I thought this was a perfect one because Matt, works with firefighters a lot as an EMT and whatnot. But this week, we have a firefighter who, I read the bio, dude. That's a long list.
Yeah, it's very long. It's so long that we're gonna have to get her to talk about it. But yeah, she's a division fire chief, our division chief of fire prevention. Just moved to Kansas for her new job, and we were just talking to her, and she's in an Airbnb. Sure. She doesn't even have a house.
Yeah, so no, do we call you Chief Brittany Brown? Do we call you Chief Brown? What should we just call you, Chief? What? Okay. And so now I guess we could. Well, go through. I guess I should go your resume a little bit and kind of give people the rundown because it'll take too. Well, the episode will be over before I get through all this stuff. Let's see. Division Chief of Fire Prevention at. Can we say the department?
Yeah, it's Leewood.
Leewood Fire Department in Kansas. You were a senior forensic fire consultant here, which forensic fire consultant sounds.
That was a career break. I thought I was going to retire. I didn't. Thought I'd just go be an engineer, and the retirement failed. So.
Oh no!
It didn't take. See,
no, it didn't take. Not at all.
Yeah,
But
I always tell people. Yeah, my wife always says, "Oh, great, retirement, twice the husband, half the salary." So let's see. You had previously been in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of this it looks like you have a big background in fire prevention as well as being a university professor. So I'm assuming fire science, fire prevention.
Yeah, fire investigation.
Fire investigation.
Oh,
okay.
How cool is that? I always wanted to be a professor.
You just want to be called professor. I will call you professor if that makes sense.
No, I want to get the money. I want a side job.
And you've been a fire marshal and a training officer, and part of an arson task force, and a deputy state fire marshal, and I mean it's just on, and also Clovis, which again, I thought it was the other Clovis, but this is Clovis, New Mexico.
Yes.
So
See,
apparently every town in California has another identical town with the same name in a different state, I think.
Yeah.
And then you are, let's see, an adjunct instructor for the New Mexico Firefighters Training Academy and for the National Fire Academy and for the Southern California Safety Institute and the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation. You're a board member of Crime Scene Scientific in the area of fire and explosion. I mean, holy monkey. So is it safe to say that your expertise is investigating the root causes of and diagnosing preventative measures for fire?
Yes. Short story, I was Air Force for 10 years and then got into fire investigation, fire prevention. They just changed the words a lot. It's mostly just being a fire marshal, inspections, investigations, public education, training, community outreach. It's all kind of fits together and just kind of bounced around the United States. Military family. That's why it looks so bad. I did 10 years. My husband did 20 years in the Air Force. And so he moved. I found a new job.
Oh, wow.
I mean,
that's how you have all those things.
Yeah.
Different places. I'm like, oh my gosh.
And Energizer Bunny. I love to teach. I love to do committees. I love to help. So it looks like a lot. It is a lot. It's a lot of energy.
I mean, I can imagine. So let's start with this. So Air Force, how did we go? Give us the brief nickel tour of how you went from civilian to Air Force to fire to now.
Yes. So grew up in Wisconsin. Parents said, absolutely, you're not ready for college. Way too wild. They said, join the Air Force. Graduated high school early at 17. Joined the military, became a flight mechanic. Really loved that. Spent 8 years overseas. Got to know the airplane really well. So a flight mechanic just kind of flies around with the airplane, which was a C-130, and fixes it. So whatever countries, wherever we go, you're just the main mechanic on the airplane.
That's cool.
I loved it.
And so is that what led you to to explore careers in engineer in the fire service, or how do you go from flight mechanic to firefighter?
So yeah, very sharp career detour. So while I was in the Air Force, yeah,
a lot of it.
Yeah, no, I know it freaks people out. So I'm like, I'm here 100% by accident. So got into fixing things, which led to like aircraft mishap investigation, like how we investigate airplane crashes. And once you get into that, you really need to specialize. And I picked survivability and crashworthiness, which is we accept the fact that the airplane crashes. How do we engineer it so that everyone doesn't die? Which has a lot to do with fire. And Luckily,
Yeah, fire causes death, especially in plane crashes and on boats.
Is that a big? Because I'm deathly afraid of flying. Is that like a big thing in planes, like commercial planes or any type of plane? Fires, like is it a big like fear? A big issue?
it really shouldn't be. And what I tell people is that I got really qualified in survivability, and there's not enough job security, which means not enough airplanes are crashing and killing people. That I had
Makes
good
me
job
feel-
security. Yeah,
That makes me feel better.
I mean, it should make everyone feel warm and fuzzy. But
Except Boeing just losing doors left and right and flipping upside down and doing some craziness. But other than that, it's pretty safe.
yeah, very, very, very safe mode of travel. Poor job security if you want to investigate the crashes. Good warm fuzzies if you want to fly.
Cool.
But I wanted to know fire, and not enough airplanes start on fire. So I went to Clovis, New Mexico, not Clovis, California.
Not enough start on fire. I will remember that.
Yeah. I mean, that was kind of how I got into the field. So I went to the fire department and I was like, I want to help. And I started helping with fires, structure fires, and really kind of got into that. And I was like, I love this. I'd done 2 enlistments in the Air Force. I did 10 years. And by then I had met my soon-to-be partner at the state. I'd been working for Clovis for several years. And he was like, hey, you're qualified. You've been running fires and working fires and investigating fires for years. Why don't you put in to be a state fire marshal? You can be my partner. So I did. My husband and I talked, and we decided, hey, let's take 10 years of the Air Force and throw it straight down the drain and start over. And yeah,
wow.
Yeah, and it was a big jump. And I said, I want to join the fire service, and I applied, and I did. I think I spent 2 weeks between the end of my enlistment to working at the state.
That's not bad, though.
I know so many people that are jealous of that story. Becoming a firefighter is so hard to do. Especially, and it does track a little bit with the economy and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, same thing with police work. Right now, I mean, you can't get people to want to be cop to save their life, but I'm guessing people still want to be firefighters because you guys are heroes. We all know, right?
Everybody likes firefighters.
You can cop heroes. It's okay.
Well, it's we understand. We didn't get paid to sleep, and if we get caught sitting in a restaurant, the old ladies yell at us. But if they see you guys all eating together, they hope you get to finish your meal. It's fine. We're not jealous. If I was smarter, I'd have gotten in line at the Fire Academy. So, did you guys go through the academy together?
Like it was that?
Or did you get hired beforehand? So you guys both decided to go into the fire service.
No, my husband didn't at all. My husband actually just retired with over 20 years in the Air Force. He was too.
Okay. So for some reason, I thought you said you both decided to chuck all the Air Force, but you were the one who chucked all the.
Oh yeah, no, he kind of endorsed the decision to be like, okay, I'm going to stay active duty. You can take your 10 years in the Air Force and just go fire service, and
you're like, you can do that. That's fine.
Yeah, and that's kind of, and then we just kind of bounced from there. New Mexico, Texas, nice. New Mexico again, Kentucky, Colorado,
now,
Kansas.
Had you ever had firefighter training in the Air Force that prepared you for it a little bit, or was it just like cold?
No, I was a weird case. So I was hired as a deputy state fire marshal doing investigations, and I didn't actually become a firefighter until I was already working for the state. So I was running fires all over the state. How it worked is someone had a fire, they needed an investigator. New Mexico is very rural. So I just investigated fires, and then I was like, hey, I should be a firefighter. It's fun. I'm already close to my 30s. This is a good time to go to the academy. It wasn't. Yeah, it hurt a lot.
Okay, so that's interesting because, so I've been asked, and I'm sure Chuck can co-sign on this. I get asked all the time, I just want to be a detective. How do I do that? And I say, you don't, right?
Exactly.
I don't want to work patrol. I don't want to put on a uniform. I just want to be a detective. Well, newsflash, you can't, right? You said you started out as an investigator and then decided. So how does that work? I didn't even know that was possible.
Can I ask this though? Is it like one of those insurance from like working for an insurance company and they have a fire, and after the fire's put out, and you go and you investigate it for the insurance company, or was it for a fire department?
So it was when I was with Clovis, it was for the fire department. and we're investigating for what we call origin and cause. We're trying to figure out where and how the fire started.
Mhm.
And same with working for the state. So you're either looking for causation, what happened, or arson. And then you get to do all the fun stuff. You get to write all the warrants, do all the subpoenas, try to build a case, try to get the DA to sign off on it, and hopefully bring it to court one day. But we're more scientists. We're scientists that dig and shovel.
Mhm.
Wow.
So we'll dig out a fire scene. So it sounds weird, but in fire investigation, being a firefighter is not it's not something that's required. It helps, which is why I did it. But a lot of fire investigators don't always start as firefighters.
Really? Okay,
Wow.
so that's interesting to me because
That's crazy.
I get the difference, right? There is a fundamental difference between fighting a fire and investigating how one started, right? It's different. You know, you still have to
Right.
understand the fundamentals of how fire, the mechanics of fire science, the mechanics of fire. I get it, but you're right. Like it's kind of two different disciplines. It's, you know, patrol responds to an active in progress call and gets the scene, you know,
Right.
contained, gets people under arrest, gets people into custody, gets, you know, band-aids on boo-boos and beats people up that need to be beat up and all that. But that's not detective work. That's not running down cases. It's not pulling rap sheets. It's not doing forensic interview. It's not that stuff. So while it's law enforcement, it's a different job. But all the fire investigators, arson investigators I worked with were they all started out as line level firefighters. So how did you, what was it how was it you were able to get it? Were they advertising for a fire investigator, arson investigator job, and you had a degree that fit? How does that work?
So I'd worked for Clovis for years for free. I was like a fire investigator on call. So Clovis would call, and the military was like, whatever, that's volunteer work. We like volunteer work because we're the military.
Right.
And
Right.
Clovis would call, and they'd be like, hey, we have a fire, and I was free. So
Oh, wow.
I would work all the fires in town. I got certified as a fire investigator at the state level and the national level before I ever applied to the state because I had enough fires under my belt.
And that's just from volunteer work.
Yeah, essentially like
Wow.
I was just working. They'd call
What a
me.
happy accident.
It was free labor.
Yeah,
it
that's
was.
kinda
Well,
cool.
but I mean, that's again for a job that, you know, can be difficult for a lot of people who want to do it, trying to get into it. It's difficult for them to get into it. That is a lot. That's one of the things I talk to young people who have asked me about how to get a job in the fire department. I said, well, go be a volunteer firefighter or a, you know, reserve firefighter, or, you know, all these things. Like in a lot of places, you have to kind of put yourself out there. And it sounds like that's kind of what you did. You just kind of put yourself out there and said, yeah, I want to learn the job. I'm willing to do it as a volunteer. And they were like, yes, please. Is that about?
Right.
Yeah, that's how I met my partner at the state, because I had worked enough fires with him. Because how it works in New Mexico is, as a local, you can do some fire investigations, but as it gets more complex, if you need better resources, you call the state.
Mm-hmm.
And Clovis is a very, very socially disadvantaged, economically disadvantaged area, very kind of difficult area to live in New Mexico. And so we have a lot of fires, a lot of crime, a lot of arson. I mean, just a lot going on. And so the state was always there. And then finally he was like, you should come to the state. And so I applied, I interviewed, I got it. And that's kind of where everything just derailed. And I was like, all right, I'm going to do this the rest of my life.
You're like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
Now, so how much of what you learned initially was on the job training with like shadowing an investigator and all that, versus then at what point did you go and get, obviously you went to the academy at some point, right? We talked about that.
Yeah.
And then sounds like you went back to school. I mean, you're a professor, like that takes schooling, it takes degrees. So how did that all kind of progress?
So everything I did was OJT. I didn't start, so none of my degrees until my doctorate are in fire at all. So that didn't really help at all. I started my PhD in 2021, but no, like all my degrees are in aviation. So those didn't help me at all. a lot of our career field is OJT. You learn by doing, you learn by seeing, and it's everything from photography to evidence to you
only
just have
so
to,
much a book or a class can teach you.
Yeah.
Well, and that's true. Like you and I both know, you can go to the academy and you get the academy training, and that's all well and good. All the academy does is get you qualified to sit in the side seat of a police car.
Yeah, it doesn't do much. I remember going through the academy. I'm sure you're the same way. And I was like, okay, I didn't really understand it, but cool, I passed it. And then you go to the field and you're like, why do I even have to go to the academy? None of that stuff even makes sense out here, because out here is so much different. And we went through it all. And it's like with detective work. I know for our agency, and I'm sure yours is probably like this, maybe not. I know some other agencies in California are different. Ours, we actually have to take a test for and get on. But before you go there, you can get and do loans with detectives and stuff and get all, the job inside and out. Then all you got to do is to pass the test, and then you pass the test, get your interview, then you get banded, and then you go to a detective school once you go to detectives. But you could be in detectives before you go to detective school, and a detective knowing how to do the job, and then they send you to the detective school just to check a box.
Yeah, so mine was a little bit different. The academy was good. It really, I got it. I got out. I was like, okay, cool. But I get it. I understand it. Mm-hmm. But now I need somebody to show me how to do it in practice. But it sounds like for you, everything, and I guess maybe when you're investigating the cause of a fire, it's a little less distressing and dangerous than being the backup to a police officer and having zero experience. So I don't think the OJT as a police officer would work as much, but going and understanding, the origins of fire and how to trace the root causes and all that kind of stuff. I guess, yeah, there's only so much classroom stuff you can do, right?
I mean, that's like, I have a lot of fire investigators that, especially younger ones, they'll come to me and they'll be like, I want to do what you do. I want to be a fire marshal. I want to be a fire investigator. And I'm like, okay, go find someone and just hang out with them. Hang out with them until you annoy them, trying to learn as much as they know. Because that's my poor lieutenant at Clovis. I mean, he put up with me, but I would just sit and ask questions, and I would drag scenes out. I mean, you can process a scene and single family dwelling, 1,500 square feet with no fatalities or injuries. You can probably process that in probably 4 to 6 hours. That's about how long it takes on average. But I would be out there 8 hours, 10 hours, because I wanted to learn. I wanted to learn everything he knew. And that's how I learned. But that's how I tell young fire investigators. I'm like, just go find someone who's doing it and follow them. And no, you're probably not going to get paid for doing it at first. It's a hard career field to get into, because you can go to the academy, you can get a degree in it, but people want experience.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's no substitute for experience, really.
It's so hard to get experience too. And it's like, it kind of happens that you kind of just fall into it. It's very difficult, even with guys who already have experience. It's like, I know this now since I'm trying to get a job in investigations, which is not happening. But, everyone's like, well, I want you to have this course. I'm like, but I have all of this stuff in real world application, but I just don't have that one course. And they're like, sorry, we're going to go with someone else that has the course, but maybe doesn't have as much experience. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. But so I get it.
Yeah. So you ultimately ended up attending a fire academy. How did you enjoy it? Have you spent time, working a station and responding to calls, or did you get it under your belt? You've done it occasionally, but really it hasn't been a lot.
No. So went to academy, became a firefighter, worked in Texas for 10 years as a firefighter. So running calls, running firefighters. So I was training chief. So I'd run academies too. So young firefighters that aren't firefighters yet. So like cadets, get them through their academies. And then even when I was a professor, I worked as a volley as well. So I've stayed pretty current. I've been a chief for probably the past 6 years. But I tell everyone I last got off a truck in May 23. Like, I'm not that far out of it.
Sure.
That was the last call I ran was 23 because I was still running them even when I was in Kentucky.
Do you think going out and actually responding and jumping off the back of the big red truck makes you a better fire investigator?
I think so. I really kind of derailed and I kind of got away from fire investigation. I think being an active firefighter made me a better fire officer because I really got more towards the prevention side because when I was working in New Mexico, we have a really, really, really high rate of fatalities, exponentially higher per capita per state, and honestly, probably one of the worst rates for child fire fatalities per capita in the United States.
Wow.
It's really, really sad.
Oh man.
Why?
It's a really economically disadvantaged state. Drugs are.
It just comes down to economics.
I mean, there's a lot of poverty. There's a lot of drugs.
Yeah.
There's a lot of crime. We are very close to the border, so there's a lot of disputes and issues like that.
So a lot of people living in squalor have like a bunch of fire hazards in their house, and they don't take care of themselves or don't take care of their homes, and their homes end up going up like a tinderbox.
Yeah. And they also use fire as a weapon really bad. Like if you're mad at your neighbor, you just Molotov cocktail them. That's
whoa shit.
Really?
What?
Yeah, it's really. I learned kind of the hard way. My career started pretty rough because when you work a fatal, at least 2-3 times or probably twice a month, and then like 70% of your fires are arson, and there's a lot.
70%? Did you say 75%?
Working for the state. That's not the actual number, but when people would call us out, like by the time they'd called me out from the state, like it's probably arson. But no, most of my fires are okay. We're trying to put someone in jail. They've set multiple fires or even just family disputes. We had one guy burn. I think he burned out like 4 of his family members, killed 2 of them. FBI and ATF had been after him forever. They called him Teflon, and he's still just running around out there. We could never convict him. He came after.
Nothing sticks to him.
He came after the investigators. He would call us and threaten us, and it's a rough place to work in certain parts of New Mexico.
I actually have a question regarding that because I've worked with a few arson investigators, and our arson investigators, another question I ask is, are you sworn? Because all of ours were. And then 2, every time we had someone who set like a massive brush fire that it engulfed like a few houses and maybe injured someone. And then we'd always get someone in custody, right? And it would be, hey, I saw him lighting the fire over there. And it'd be a transient who gave us the info, and we'd write down their info. We'd hook that person up, or another unit would have them, or it'd be a long foot pursuit. Behind us, as the whole hills are burning, and you're running in a foot pursuit trying to catch an arson suspect, and you catch him, and then we would go and be like, hey, to the arson investigator, hey, we had this witness said he saw him lighting with this and this, and with this lighter, we found this lighter on him. And next thing I know, they're kicking them because they're like, it's just not enough. So you said it's hard, but what exactly do you have to do to get a conviction? Like what it has to be there?
Oof. So arson, you all know your cops that arson is a capital crime, but it also has the lowest rate of prosecution of capital crimes in like total. It's DAs don't
arson with death, right? Not just arson, but arson with death. Any arson?
Yeah.
You burned down an empty warehouse, you could qualify for the death penalty.
No. I mean, like, as far as like the conviction rate, like as far as like the number of arsonists that are convicted versus like the number of rapists versus.
Oh no, I thought you said it was a capital crime, and I was like, oh, okay, got it.
No, like DAs don't like it. It is hard to prove without a confession. For a while, like our entire career field as fire investigation was kind of garbage. We had some issues with some cases, some Innocence Project cases that really kind of made our career field not look scientific, especially back in the 90s, early 2000s. So we're kind of struggling to get back there. But no, DAs don't like to take it, and they're just hard crimes to prosecute. Yeah. So arson has a really, really low conviction rate. So I've had...
It's crazy. Even if you have someone like an independent wit who's like, oh no, I saw him light it and that's what he used, and you even find that, and then they can still get kicked because you don't get there's I guess what it's just not enough because it wasn't on video and there wasn't a confession from the actual person who did it, or
Yeah, and
that's crazy.
I've had that. I had this one car out in the county. It was a Stingray. Was it Corvette Stingray? Beautiful car, the sports edition, everything. And there's part of the county out in Lee County, and it's known for hot dog, and you don't go out there for any other reason. And we had everything on this guy. I mean, he had multiple insurance lapses because they find this car, it's burned to nothing in the middle of the desert. There's no populated structure or city for probably 30 miles in any direction. Truck driver calls it in. I go out there to investigate. I'm working for Lovington and looking at this car, and I'm like, well, there's not a whole lot of reasons why this thing could burn down, but do due diligence. The guy's insurance was going to expire in 2 days. This was during COVID. It was, I mean, all the stars aligned for like this to look like an insurance fraud. And I mean, he was oil filled, and we brought him in for questioning because fire investigators do the interview. We can do the interrogation. We are kind of that weird mix between law enforcement and fire.
So you are you technically sworn, carry a gun, badge, arrest powers, all that?
No, but it depends upon the state. So New Mexico, we were considered peace officers, so we could do warrants, subpoenas, all of that. We could not arrest. Texas, I was not sworn when I moved over there. T-Cole's its own animal over there. Most fire marshals in Texas carry as peace officers. I wasn't certified in Texas.
Right.
Okay, so that's kind of Texas was a kind of, it depends.
Texas is way different.
Yeah. And then Colorado, I think my old department's going that direction. I always prefer not to. Just on the aspect of I don't want to be doing fire investigation as much. I much more prefer fire prevention. Believe it or not, I love public policy and legislation. That's where my heart is now. I've seen enough bad with fire investigation that I want to fix it. So that's where I'm kind of within the same career field, but more of I've learned enough, I've seen enough. I want to be the one that prevents that from happening again. So that's where where I live now.
I'm curious to hear what you say about how you would fix it, because I don't know a lot about some of those, issues or anything like that. But I do. So I have a question that is work related for me and work related for you. So real quick, I understand the last time like a child died in a school fire was like the 50s. But we do fire drills every month by code. Most places, I believe, is if you have a school, there's kids in the building, fire drill every month. And yet, in a lot of states, lockdown drills are not yet a requirement, right? So the law hasn't caught up with lockdown drills as mandating schools to do them. But fire drills, they're already at that point, and yet we haven't lost any child as far as I understand since the 50s. So quick question, where do you land on, do we still need, should kids still fire drill every month in school, considering most schools are made out of brick and steel now? As the fire marshal, I was curious your opinion on, is that still it would quarterly work? Is monthly still the best standard? Because I would argue that lockdown drills as a cop right now in this day and age are more important than fire drills.
Fire drill. Okay.
In the sense that we have lost more kids due to one than the other in the last 50 years, right? But that doesn't mean I'm necessarily in favor of getting rid of fire drills, because the second you get rid of them, that's when you're gonna have a problem, right? So I was curious to where you kind of, as a fire marshal, where do you land on that? It's only because it's been a debate that's come up for me a couple of times. So I have you here, might as well ask.
He works for a school district.
So this is a contentious issue, and I do understand. So we are held to the code. Our fire codes and standards, which are in some aspect or capacity adopted in all 50 states. Some jurisdictions may not actively have an adopted code. Fire code does say that, but it's actually changed. The code has changed, so it's more of emergency preparedness drills. So you
Right.
have
I don't call them fire drills. I call them evacuation drills.
And
Yeah.
I would say that if you look at states like New Mexico, your lockdown drills are legislation and have been since
They are?
2019. Yeah.
Wow.
New Mexico
See, that's
requires
a
lockdown
state by
drills.
state thing. Yeah.
Yes. So I'd say it depends. I'd say the super fun public policy of if you work for a school, that maybe that becomes a House bill because ours did. And we like on behalf of the fire marshals, because of course fire marshals have fire marshals associations. We said we want to part with this bill because we don't want your lockdown drills replacing our fire drills. But we also have to have evacuation drills for the kiddos for like tornadoes or other stuff. And we also
Sure.
need to have this clearly laid out so that they know the difference, the kids. But I mean, they're never going to figure it out. So we need the teachers to have like really, really plain language to know what that is. But no, New Mexico's been doing that since 2019 because it was a surprise when that bill came down and they were like, schools will do this. They will do this and it will be in addition to fire drills. And I imagine other states have similar legislation.
I mean, I would think it's important. But, you know, I was curious to where you came down on the frequency requirement and if you felt like it needed to be kept the same, altered, but I digress. So I also want to talk the second question. The craziest fire, and I will leave details out because I don't want to give anybody ideas. The craziest method I have ever seen to start a fire, like an arson quickly, was a grab bag of Lay's potato chips. Now, see, she's smiling. I'm not going to say anything else, but I clearly, I think you know what I'm talking about. Who knows? Maybe the video I saw, you may show it in class. I don't know. But it is, again, without getting into details, I don't want you to necessarily give it away. Is that something you can catch? Is that one, like, is fire science investigation so far down the scientific road that there aren't many causes that you guys can't suss out? It's just proving that the person did it? Or where does it fall now in investigations?
Honestly, I'd say we'd call that an incendiary device. You know, it's just whether it be Lay's potato chips or even the old school rigged cigarette with a box of matches. We really don't see a ton of that. Believe it or not, its highest prevalence is in California. But most arsonists are
volunteer. We're the reserve firefighters who need some extra seasonal money. Start them.
It's really not common. Most of your arsonists are not creative. I mean, half the time I've noticed in my career, you know, working a ton of fires in New Mexico, especially, half the time they don't even use an accelerant like gasoline. They just light whatever's there, and then that's that.
Leave and walk out.
Just dumb stuff like they'll make Molotov cocktails with sterno and plastic water bottles. It doesn't.
It's
work.
not like Backdraft, where it was all being scientific. I mean, they were firefighters though that were committing the crimes, but it's most of them. Yeah, they're crude. Well,
she talked
not
about
to say it hasn't happened, but it's not. It's not the majority. I'd say probably if you looked at all the arson cases in the United States and we knew causes for all of them, which obviously we don't, I'd say probably less than 5% use devices. It's just most arsonists are really not creative, and they're usually not even very good at setting a fire. I mean,
I actually have a personal question for you. I mean, not personal, but it's directly related to your background. We had a guy who set his apartment on fire with us inside. And we stayed there the whole time with fire until we took him into custody. And it was bad. They were fighting the fire while we were inside providing them cover. Long story short, he is taken into custody. And in the fall out of his second story window, he ends up falling on his chihuahua, breaks the chihuahua's leg or one of its legs. And he gets arrested. They do not file on him for attempt murder on a PO or ADW on a PO, or they don't file on him for arson or any of that other stuff. The only thing they filed on him for was endangering his chihuahua. why, if we know he committed that arson with cops inside, which could have killed us, and fire, mind you, because fire is unforgiving, and it was freaking engulfed. Like, it was bad. And I don't know why we're in there, but we were. But they didn't prosecute him. I mean, that seems like a slam dunk. Everybody saw him do it. He was the only person in there. I mean, we thought there was someone else screaming for help. That's why we entered. But he ended up being the only person in there. So he lit it. But why can't they prosecute him for arson on that? Just California being California.
She'd have to ask the DA, right? Like,
yeah, if it was New Mexico, we would try to throw the book at them. That was
slam dunk, right?
Well, no, we're just going to see what sticks. We're going to throw every charge we can, because we're hopefully the DA's in a good mood and we can get a case prosecuted. But no, that's a weird situation.
We had to get creative. We had a guy who took I was the lead on the call, and when we ultimately took him down, a standoff situation, blah, blah, blah. We searched his car. We think we found something. We're like, this is something. It's a device. We're going to have to, we bring the fire department out, get the vehicle, get the bomb squad, all that stuff. He had rigged up a 5-gallon plastic container with a 2-horse pump and a Hudson sprayer nozzle to the cigarette lighter of his car and filled it with gasoline. And he had made a flamethrower that it was in his vehicle. And like we had to take it to the PD, and the fire guys came out and we tested it in the back parking lot because we had to verify that it was functional. And this sucker threw out 15, 20 foot of fire. And we had to kind of dig. I worked with the bomb squad investigator who came out, and with the arson investigator, we kind of had to dig through the penal code to figure out what would be an appropriate charge to charge somebody with possession of a flamethrower. Because believe it or not, there was no specific section that said you can't have a flamethrower. So we went with, like you're saying, destructive device or whatever. Yeah. Right. We went destructive device. But I'm curious then in my little brief experiences with fire investigation, stuff like that, I've seen weird stuff. I imagine you have seen all manner of stuff. You said arsonists for the most part aren't creative. Do you have one that sticks out in your mind that you were like, oh wait, they did what? Or it was a little bit more difficult to investigate? Or are you like, are you kidding me? I cannot believe. Do they ever get creative enough to where they surprise you?
Sometimes we would run. Oh, we had some difficult cases in New Mexico. I'd say one that kind of stands out is that it's down south, so southern New Mexico, and it's a junkyard. And we have this guy, he has he's been accused of setting 2 fires already. So we're like, all right. So me and my partner go down there, and we're like, we're going to look at this, and it's 3 structures, 9 vehicles, and it's a disaster. And this guy hates the police, but he likes us. We're, we usually show up in bunker gear because we're usually firefighters, or we're at least fire service. And so we get on his property, and we're like, hey, we want to investigate this fire, but we need consent. And that's kind of our way on the fire investigation side to kind of waive 4th and 5th Amendment rights. We have a nice little piece of paper that says, hey, can I come investigate your property? And if I find any evidence that, proves that you did something, I'm going to take it. I'm going to use it against you. And people sign it all the time.
It's the same. Can I search your car? Sure. I'm not going to find anything. Absolutely not. 2 minutes later, what's this bag of meth doing here?
That's not mine.
Those aren't even my pants.
Yeah. But yeah, and he's like, oh yeah, you can come on my property. Yeah, you please investigate it, because my neighbor set everything on fire. And we're like, okay. And he's like, you can come in, but the police officers can't. I'm like, okay. So we're looking around, and we do what's called like a site safety. We're looking around, and we're like, we know we have a pretty good idea, because it's like a wildland. You can kind of localize it down to which structure it started in at least. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, can my buddy come on the property? And we're like, yeah, but we need to supervise everything he's doing, because this is now a crime scene. You signed over the property to us. It's our property now. And so his little buddy comes in, and we're looking at the car, and it's a black pickup truck, and it's got no plates, We're like, okay, that's fine. And he's like, oh, you guys are my friends. You guys are my friends. And we're like, sure, buddy, that's fine. Go back. We go to the other end of the junkyard. And this guy's unloading just random stuff out of the vehicle. So my partner's distracting him. I'm trying to get to the front of the vehicle to see if this thing has a VIN. Because we were looking at this thing because they still won't let the sheriffs in. Not at all. So he unloads all this crap and then gets to the gate, which guess what? Sheriffs are sitting right there. So sheriff's sitting right there and he's like, hey, is that a open container in your car? And the guy's like, yeah. And he's drinking beer right there while driving down the road. This guy had no reason to be on scene whatsoever. He came into the crime scene and that's just joined the crime scene actively in progress. Then the cops like, hey, yeah, he came from down the road because our little property owner is hanging out and he's like, I just want my friend to visit me and drop off stuff. And, we said, fine.
Uh-huh.
So then the cops are like, well, hey, can I have your license and registration? And then he's like, oh, no, I don't have any of that. So we're like, we're just standing there because we're just laughing because we're like, we don't even know what to do with this guy. No license, no registration, methamphetamine, marijuana, everything else is in the vehicle. And then he's got all these tools that have fire debris on them, which we can test that fire debris to see if it matches. So the truck was stolen. They'd scraped the VIN off. I mean, everything else. And so then this guy, he's just sitting there and, okay, you get to go directly to jail. And then we have our property owner. He's like, well, you let them arrest my friend. And we're like, well, yeah, we let them arrest your friend. Your friend. And he's like, well, I didn't set this fire. It was my neighbor. And we're looking at the tools that are full of fire debris in the back of this truck, in addition to all the methamphetamine making supplies and other drugs. I mean, he's got 8 balls. He's got all sorts of stuff.
Wow.
He's like, I didn't do it. And we're like, okay. So we're like, all right, we're gonna do our fire investigation. So we still do our scientific process. We document everything. So we have a special crime scene way to document everything. And the whole time the guy's like, you arrested my friend. And we're like, no, we didn't. The sheriff's did. And we finally finish our investigation. He's our number one suspect. We figured out that there was gasoline. The fire debris matched. They did a laboratory analysis on the tools and the shovels in the back of the truck versus what we found, what our perceived area of origin was. Everything came back, brought him in, questioned him, and he's like, well, yeah, I set the fire, but it wasn't on purpose. And we're like, well, okay. And then he ended up, I think, jumping bail and then got another warrant because he was already, the state police already had him under investigation for stolen cars, and all the burned cars were stolen. So he just running a junkyard of stolen cars. And then he to my knowledge, he went to jail, and I don't know if he's still there, but no, not the brightest, but that really wasn't that uncommon. There was a lot of cases where we're like what, why?
Do you think that, so he said, oh, I set the fire, but it was totally accident.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds about as common as these aren't my pants excuse, right?
Yeah.
So is that one of the hurdles? So in a sex crimes investigation, when you're talking about like a rape case and you have the act of sex is not in dispute, the only fact that may or may not be in dispute is consent. And so there becomes the sticking point for the investigation is, was it consensual or not, right? It sounds like it's very easy to then say, well, yeah, I mean, technically I set the fire, but it was an accident.
Right.
Is it the intent? Is that the hardest threshold to get over? Or is it?
It is state dependent. Every state has its own arson statutes. So the delineation of intent sometimes it's hard to get to. With a lot of our stuff, we're gonna try to get that confession. Sometimes it's gonna be difficult, but they're hard cases to put together because even in the lab, even if you get like, hey, this is gasoline, and even if you have like a really good GC mass spec that can tell you, hey, this is the same delineation of gasoline, weathered this degree and it matches this, even if it's the same, it's still kind of hard to prove. It is really dependent state by state. So we kind of go with the totality of circumstances and reasonable degree of certainty. Probably, is it probable versus plausible? Because all those are different legal terms for us.
Right.
Is that why you? Is that why you want to get you the policy and all that stuff and the legislature of it to try to make it a little bit easier to put arsonists behind bars, or is it strictly just for the fire prevention stuff?
No, it's mostly fire prevention. I want residential sprinklers. I want smoke alarms. I want really nice, sustainable housing. I don't want
which would help with arson, but so it would help with fires and arson, because if there was sprinklers, you could put it out and stuff like that, unless you were able to cut it. And I don't know if that would make it easier to prove. Like, this person came in, they snipped it, they were saw here on a camera. I mean, it seems like arson is so hard to prove. It's like something I feel like needs to shift in another direction, just so that we can put some of these people behind bars.
It is going more scientific, and we are a recognized forensic field. That's what the Organization of Scientific Advisory Committees is. It's under NIST. So like latent fingerprints will sit in a room next to us, but we are a forensic profession, and we are getting there. I have nothing against fire investigation. I just really I got tired of digging. I got tired of going to fatal fires. I got tired of,
putting your hands in soot and yep.
Well, yeah, I got tired of finding kids and, dogs, and I got tired of it. And I was like, I want to help. I want to give this family a smoke alarm. I want to install it for them. I want to go to this family that has like heating insecurity and food insecurity. And I want to give them these safety devices. I want their housing to be more sustainable so that they don't have a fire. I want to educate them on stuff. And so I kind of even further derailed, where that's the public policy I mostly like doing, just because I'm tired of finding people.
Well, I just don't blame you.
Yeah, I mean, and you just hit on a big spot, which burns a lot of cops out. You digging through a bunch of shit with nothing to show for it. You see all these people on their worst days, dead and everything, kids, adults, everyone, and you still are having a hard time putting people away. And I think that might be something too. You're tired of digging through all of it for no gratification at the end process, right? You figured, okay, it was arson. You prove all the scientific stuff, but nothing happens in the end because it's so hard to prosecute, and you don't get any gratification or vindication for the people who lost their lives in that. And I think that's a lot of things that also burn cops out is, you have all these investigations, you put all these people away, and there's a revolving door. You arrest them again the next day or in a couple hours from now. And it's no vindication for anything. You do all this hard work.
You feel like you're bailing out the Titanic with a Dixie cup.
Exactly. Is that part of it too?
Yeah, no. And there's still cases where I'm like a mother that like, I would bet my life, my salary, my dog on the fact that she allowed her child to die. And I hate her for it. And she is still walking around because I could never get her. But no, like I want that a family like that to not be in that position. I want mom who's just smoked an 8-ball to maybe hear a smoke alarm and at least try to get her children out. It is tiring, and I loved it for a really long time. And it's still really fun. It's an amazing puzzle to go do a fire investigation. But I just got tired of it because I wanted to help before someone's worst day happened. A fire is someone's worst day. I want to be there. I want to prevent their worst day.
Right.
It's like going fishing. I always used to correlate investigating like fishing. But it's like going fishing and never catching a fish. And you're like, I'm done fishing. After a while, you're like, I don't want to do this anymore because I keep throwing my pole in the water.
Well, it can feel thankless
and nothing happens.
And pointless and futile. And so then as we run out of time, I want to make sure, because we know you have a dedication. I wanted to give you a chance because you talked about prevention being your passion. And I heard you say something earlier, and I said I wanted to circle back to it. What are, I don't know, 2 or 3 of the, if you were the, queen of the universe for a day, what 3 things or 2 things or whatever do you think you could change or implement, or what 3 things would you have people do? A couple of things that you would have people do to really make that difference for the prevention piece. What would you change?
Ooh, I'd say we really need to figure out what's happening in our residential homes. I mean, that's where we're killing people. We kill over 2,000 people every year in their homes. That is way too many. I mean, that's like 6 a day. That's 6 people die every single day, and that doesn't include injuries, which is well into the 18, 19, 20,000 a year.
Wow.
So some of it's cooking. A lot of it's electrical. I'd say the probably number one causes that are contributing to that is that people don't have smoke alarms. They don't know what to do when there's a fire. You have overcrowding. You have poor building materials. And there's no way to even deal with it. I mean, especially these rural applications. If the fire department's 30 minutes away, I don't know if you're getting out. I mean, you have a lot of the mobility challenged, mobility impairment individuals. You have those that have cognitive impairments. Those are the ones that are dying in fires disproportionately. And a lot of your disadvantaged populace, they are dying at very high rates. It is there. I mean, dependent upon the economic status of whatever person, those of lower economic stability, they are dying disproportionately higher. So it is housing. So I don't know if I could fix 3 things. That was like a lot of things.
Well,
but I want
it's housing, right? That was like a big part of it, though, was just housing issues. Obviously, it's a multifaceted approach, but it sounds like basically there's a big gap where when it comes to disabled, disadvantaged, people that, are essentially can't get themselves out right away or understand, fire safety or processes. Is that about fair to say? Is it a
Yes. Yeah. When we don't have the safety devices, we don't have the sprinklers, which are going to give them time. We don't have the smoke alarms. Half the time they don't even have the ability to egress because they have mobility challenges that their own home prohibits them from leaving, which I've seen a lot in New Mexico. I mean, that's a decent amount of fatalities where they're trying to egress and they make it halfway and they can't go any further. And it's just really sad.
Wow. Well, I just like that, we are out of time. So I thank you for coming on the show. We always give our guests a chance to dedicate the episode to a fallen brother or sister that has gone before. And so I understand you have a dedication. So who would you like to dedicate your episode to?
Since we're talking a lot about fire investigators, Kristen Hayes from Colorado.
Okay. Do you want to tell us a little bit about Kristen's service?
Kristen was at South Adams before I was, and she was a really good fire and life safety educator. She really didn't love fire investigation, but she loved educating the public. She loved working with the schools, and she recently passed very abruptly due to cancer.
Oh, wow. Man. Okay. Well, I mean, that stinks. It sounds like she had a family too, right?
She did.
Yeah. And this was very recent, like this year.
Yes, like a couple months ago. We just honored her at the Community Risk Reduction Conference of the Rockies, which was an event that she used to run, which I was able to be in Colorado for.
And I'll say this as long as it takes for people to hear it, especially when it comes to, well, obviously firefighters, but police officers as well in a lot of circumstances, especially, for myself, having worked undercover narcotics labs. Cancer is a line of duty death for firefighters. Mm-hmm. There's so much methyl ethyl bad shit that firefighters get exposed to, not just during an active fire, but being an investigator in a fire scene with all the carcinogens and stuff around you. Mm-hmm. That, the cancer rates for firefighters are far and away well above where they should, and they've gotten better, right, with PPE, getting better and all that kind of stuff. But still, right. I think people don't kind of realize if a firefighter gets rates of cancer are terrible because of the carcinogens they're constantly exposed to, and it's not just you breathing in smoke. It's on your clothes. It's on it's in your hands. It's in your hair. I hated going to fires because then I always smelled like a fire for 2 days afterwards, and it didn't matter. I got a clean uniform, took a shower, still smelled it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, rest easy, sister. We got it from here. I can't cancer for firefighters and police officers. Man, that just sucks. So, well,
Yeah,
Chuck, what do you have for us as we close out?
I was gonna say it's horrible. You take your SCBA off one time in a fire, and that could be all of it for you. Not to mention everything that Tom just said, taking it home with you on your clothes. But Brittany, thank you so much for coming on today. It was a pleasure. Thank you all today for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to follow us on Instagram at war_stories_official and our Facebook at War Stories Podcast. If you already follow us, we'd really appreciate it if you could share a post and help spread the word. You can also check us out on the link in our bio on both platforms to find all of our social media, our media links, and our website. Our podcast is available on all major streaming platforms, including YouTube. If you'd like to support us, head over to our website at www.warstoriesofficial.com. Grab some gear. Do you have a story to tell, or do you know someone who does? We're always looking for law enforcement, veterans, corrections officers, dispatchers, firefighters, medics, and ER docs and ER nurses to feature on the show. If you're interested, please go to linkedin.com/War Stories Podcast and share your story with our producer, Dylan. And as a backup, you can also go to booking.warstories@gmail.com. But again, you should go to linkedin.com/War Stories Podcast and share your story. We'd love to have you on. If you know someone who'd be a great fit, please send them our way. Also, check us out on TikTok at www.tiktok.com at War Stories Locker Room. And please go to our YouTube. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you're always notified every time we drop a podcast, and make sure you go support us there. Thank you for the support. Stay safe.
There's the bell. I didn't have it on time. And join us for Locker Room Live Wednesday nights on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. Brittany, Chief Brown, thank you for coming on the show. I know we covered a lot of ground, but we haven't had the chance to pick the brains of a genuine arson investigator, let alone one with the accomplished resume and the time in the Air Force that you have. So you have entertained all of our nonsensical, silly questions very well, and we appreciate it. Teach more of those firefighters, and let's figure out how to get people actually locked up for arson. How's that? Let's set that up. And then our next episode, come home with your shield around it.